This is Mario. Beloved, we always do it. We start at the beginning. And that is where we reach deep inside to express the sincere gratitude that we feel for another Tuesday afternoon of information and enlightenment, naturally and deliciously flavored by Armstrong ice cream. Yes, beloved, let us be sure to remember that at 3:30, that's correct, we will be having the Lady Akama General. That's beautiful Aisha. She will be taking center stage as we come up with our Crucian history question. And she, from her position at center stage, she will complement the correct answer with a full quart of your favorite flavor of Armstrong ice cream. Beloved, you can't beat that, not even with a black water stick. But here we is. Just what I said, Mrs. Lower Saturday, it is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 3 days after experiencing a primary election. And we would very much like to hear your reaction to the results of Saturday's primary election. We actually, and I keep saying we, beloved, for them and those of us that still don't have a full understanding of how this primary election thing goes, it's not about us. Because, beloved, it was simply about the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. That's what it was about. If you are not a registered Democrat, you could not even take part. And so, yes, this was the Democratic Party having to decide which of three teams would be the nominee for government house come the general election in November. The first Tuesday of November, general election day. And beloved, the Democratic Party had three different teams vying to be the Democratic Party nominee for that office. Because let's face it, the Democratic Party, like any other party, cannot offer more candidates than the office allows for. You could only have one governor, one lieutenant governor, but you had three different Democratic Party teams vying for that position. So that's the purpose of the primary election, to have all Democrats go to the polls to decide which of these three teams would be the nominee for Democrat governor and lieutenant governor come the November general elections. And similarly, that's what happened with the position of delegate to Congress. We could only have one delegate to Congress. And so the Democratic Party, and excuse me if I don't have the number at hand, but we all know that it was several candidates who wanted to be the Democratic Party nominee for delegate to Congress. Because just as with governor and lieutenant governor, the Democratic Party could only nominate one candidate for the one position. And it was former Senator Janelle Sarro who the Democrats selected to be their nominee for that position. So the Democratic Party's candidate for governor and lieutenant governor, delegate to Congress, Stacey Plaskett, and 36th Legislature President Senator Michael Potter. They are now the nominees of the Democratic Party for governor and lieutenant governor. Similarly, former Senator Janelle Sarro, she bested however many candidates there were for that nomination. And the Democratic voters on Saturday chose former Senator Janelle Sarro to be their nominee for delegate to Congress. Then, of course, there were the candidates for the 37th legislature. And beloved, again, this is where my lack of television and social media and all the things that keep us up to date and current events that I don't happen to be a part of. And so, yes, beloved, I am showing my weakness at this point here. Just like I couldn't tell you how many candidates the Democratic Party had for the nominee for delegate to Congress. Beloved, I can't tell you how many candidates the Democratic Party had for the 7 positions of the 37 legislature as district senators from St. Croix. I really don't know what the number was, but beloved, we know that as the legislature is presently structured, we have 7 district senators for St. Croix. And so it matters not how many candidates we might have. That's the purpose of the primary election, to cut down that number to 7. There can only be 7 nominees. However many candidates vying for that position, they will get cut down to 7 because we only have a structure that allows for 7 district senators. And beloved, like I said, this is where I am exposed to my weakness. I can't tell you how many senators or candidates for those nominations. And I can't tell you who were the successful nominees, who were the 7 that are now nominated to be the Democratic Party's candidate for those 7 district Senate seats in St. Croix. I don't know. And maybe you know, and you would call and help us all out by telling us all the information that we lack. How many candidates were vying to be the Democratic Party nominee for delegate to Congress? How many candidates there were to be the Democratic Party 7 nominees for the 37th legislature, 7 district seats out of St. Croix. And so, beloved, that is what they, when I hope so at any rate, what the primary election resolved. so that we now have the exact number of nominees for the district of St. Croix for November's general election. Honestly, I thought it would be, well, a more contentious campaign, but then again, I was not exposed to very much of the campaign because from what I'm hearing, a lot of it took place on social media, things like the Facebook and the TikTok and the Instagram. A team that was successful, which is the Plaskett Potter team. Plaskett had I thought, had a lot of baggage from her position on the national stage as delegate to Congress. I thought that would, make the campaigning a little more contentious than she having been involved in impeachment of President Donald Trump. He's in his second term as president, and well, you would expect that the candidates would somehow cause Delegate Plaskett to respond to this kind of questions like, well, how would you deal with President Trump? Because you had quite a bit to do with his impeachment trial. But apparently, beloved, nothing came of it. But like I said, for the little that I'm engaged, I expected that, well, the two other teams, the Roach Francis and Gregory Moorhead, that those teams would, well, put the questions to candidate Delegate Plaskett as to how do you deal with the President of the United States after you have been a part of his impeachment trial. But again, I don't know, maybe there was much more going on in social media than I'm aware of because I'm just not aware of. But then again, on the national scene, just like this, it was a matter of the impeachment with President Trump. It was a matter of her relationship to the infamous Jeffrey Epstein. And similarly, as with the impeachment issue with President Trump, I am not aware of really any contentious issues that were brought to bear by the two teams that were vying for the position uh, with her. But again, maybe I missed out on a lot, but beloved, I just thought there would be much more to be had because she is on the national scene and no matter of being involved in impeachment proceedings with President Trump on the one hand, and then her relationship with uh, the infamous Jeffrey Epstein on the other hand. But beloved, at least maybe it was because I am just simply not tuned into the social media and I missed out on all of it, but there didn't seem to be much of an issue either way, whether with President Trump and the impeachment thing or Jeffrey Epstein and his relationship with the delegates. So it was much to do about nothing. And well, from where I sat, not having any TV, not connected to this social media and all the current events happening, uh, beloved, I thought it would be a much more contentious campaign to get the nomination from the Democratic Party for uh, government house. I just thought it would be a much more contentious campaign. It didn't seem to be, like I don't know what else to say other than that. I thought it would be much more involved than it turned out to be. And so maybe, beloved, I will learn from you, my beloved, as we proceed, because I just might have missed out on much, much more than I realized. But that is where we're at, beloved. And so we will take our first break as we get ready for our information and enlightenment for this Tuesday. So my advice is to you, lick your cream, beloved, because I'm sorry ice cream is just so good for your soul. And we get, well, our first caller of this Tuesday of information and enlightenment. So let's open the door and welcome them. Good afternoon to you.
Mario, I'm not surprised with the election to the Democrat Party. If people who live here and not the primary, they will not surprise.
Okay.
The 7 win, I'm predicting right now at least 4 are going to be senators. It's always been a trend. They may not come in the order they come in. But I am predicting today, before November 3rd.
The first four for the Democratic.
Yes, my way. But it could be 5, but I'm going only going to limit it to 4. That's
Okay, that's for District Senator for St. Croix.
Yes, the first 4 out of the 7 are sure winners unless voters of St. Croix go in a different format than New Jersey. If they follow the same format, they are going to be sure winners. The delegate to Congress, the same thing.
Let us, account for one thing, which is that moving from the 36 where we are now to the 37 that would be sworn in January, you got to remember that there were 2 who did not participate in any re-election for the 37. That would be candidate Nobel Francis as Lieutenant Governor. So that's one open spot there. And then there's Maurice James.
I understand all this, but I'm making it easy. The 7 people at the Democrat Party picked in the primary candidate going on to the general election. I am saying I am predicting 4 out of that 7 is sure winners if the trend continue how we usually go before. If they change it, then I might be wrong.
But I'm understanding you, and as a result of understanding.
Confusing me when you go back to say Lieutenant Governor and this and no.
No. Well, just hear me out. All I'm saying to you is that you are saying that according to your empirical knowledge over the years, this is how you see it. And I say, I don't disagree with you, I'm agreeing with you. I am just saying that furthermore, 2 positions are available. Why? Because Nobel Francis did not vie for re-election to the 37. And Maurice James similarly did not vie for re-election to the 37. So all I'm saying to you is that yes, in addition to everything that you said, there are 2 spots that are available because they are not going to be seeking re-election as Democrats.
I understand what you're saying, but to me, I make it much easier than even go to 2 areas. I'm saying the 7 that we know at least 4, possibly 5, but I'm going for 4. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Then the delegate to Congress, we have a female delegate to Congress. Another one, but that was the first. And then the governorship, we have a female governor. I am saying this based on the trend we usually have after a primary or general election or interim election.
Okay.
If the voters decide to change, that will be a difference, but I don't see it. Democrat is not going to vote for nobody outside of Democrat, even they may not like that one fully. Can you let nobody come, and that's the way we vote in the voting island. I like Ira. Before I vote for Mario, let me put back Ira. That's how we vote here. We're not really intelligent voters. most of us, and set line. If I set line is that I put in the I'm numb, by numb intelligent voter. That's the very thing. But my biggest goal what happened Saturday. And we talk about the young people, give them a chance, let us see what they could do. And here you have two young men. When you hear young men getting involved in education, you've got to give them applause because they almost feel like the field of education is ladies, women, young women. They almost feel like that. And there were two young men who themselves out there to be on the board of education. And you're telling me that we went to the poll and with four Democrats only took to go November. Understand that Ms. Leona Hendricks and Terence Joseph, if they win November coming, there will be 16 years on the board. What do retired teachers, principal want to be on the education board for 16 years? And when next week come, they're going to tell me the same set. I know them, I live here. I follow politics, I like politics, and I know it. Oh, the school is good, I take a walk. Even less than 2 weeks, they shut down one or two the same school that they said they inspect. They don't inspect nothing. They go with the flow, everything is created on the Democrat, and whoever education, the commissioner, and the Democrat, and they go with the flow. They don't want to make nobody look small after them, not that you are true.
Okay. Well,
and I'm simply saying it's hard that two young men, and you even give just one. But again, the older people, they don't know you, they ain't going to vote for it. They vote for it enough. But the two young men did a great job. And I was campaigning for one, Christopher Jacob Jr. I was campaigning for him. Another young man from Small. I see him born. I see him Christian in the Methodist Church. I see him taught him in church schools. But I'm talking about, I think I never even think he had interest in going politics. But she's so true. And it's strong young people way like that. And that bothers me, I tell you. Finally from Saturday, not even one you give. You're being too old a person, not in the matter of age. Please, I don't want to, but I am not talking age-wise. I'm talking to the length of time down the board. This young will make 16 years. Well, maybe the young people give some of the young expertise. That's regardless of start breaking in the younger people, the next generation. We are not preparing the next generation in a proper manner.
Hey, let me ask you again, to the best of your knowledge, which is the larger group as registered voters, the Democratic Party or independent?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And if I'm wrong, the independent then do not show the true colors. If I'm wrong, and it's Republican, and if it's independent and the largest voting bloc.
Well, that's what the question I'm asking. But it's to your best recollection, the Democratic Party is the largest voting bloc.
I assume so, but if my memory is correctly, I think I heard you say that the Rastafarians are the largest. Memory.
No. Rastafarians are the largest non-voting group.
Oh, okay. But I know you said something in the manner of okay. So
yeah.
I'm on the right track.
That if Rastafarians was to register, they could take over the government.
Okay, something like that. I said
that's what I'm saying. But yes, but they don't involve themselves. You know.
Yes,
I don't know if 1% of them are registered to vote even. You know, they're not involved in a political process. But my point was that if they wanted to, and they got registered to vote, they could in one election take over the government.
You're going to make a difference. I understand you, Mario, but I said it wrong, so all you said it. But yes, I know you did something about that.
Right. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. But they don't.
Okay, I agree. But
Okay.
Democrat is the largest.
Well, all right. No, so I'm questioning therefore if the difference now that the primary election is behind us, you know, are we going to see more contentious campaigning? Because that's what I was saying as my opening monologue there, that I thought that, you know, there would be a more contentious campaigning, particularly for government house, simply because the one ticket, the candidate Stacey Plaskett, was on a national level, and that she had been involved with the trial for the impeachment of the President of the United States, who is currently President of the United States. So I thought there might have been, you know, some contention there from her opposition, the two other candidates. Same way, again, on the national level, she was involved with this relation with the infamous Jeffrey Epstein, you know. But then again, the other two candidates, they didn't seem to find that to be an issue either. So I thought that it would be a more contentious campaigning, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
You know, Mario is not going to make a difference neither. I just said to you earlier, Democrats will realize a call iron name is not doing good for the party.
Well, that's why I asked if they were still the largest group. That's why I was asking if they're still the largest voted bloc.
Yes, Mario, but we have to know that in both Twin Town and Twin Quay, there are over 20,000 people registered Democrat up on vote. You forget our delegate, then you have to get 18,000. Then they finish all over 18,000, so that's still a large block. I'm saying they're not going to go out of it, even though they lose. They're going to ask the people to support this party. The party is what's making a difference here, Mario.
I see.
It's not people making a difference to see who is in.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm
you
just.
From November, which one is out there running? Is about 3 more for governor than we chasing. But I'm simply saying for leaving it happen, and whoever wins the nominee, going government vote. Who win the nominee, going Congress, and at least 4 out of the 7 are sure winners. Now, November come, and what I am saying today, the 4th and the 3rd of November, August, it becomes different. So it's not going to happen.
Okay.
And good afternoon. Have a good day.
I got one final question, if you tolerate me.
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
I was just looking up. I'm online.
Okay. I don't understand what you say. I understand what you said, and you did a great job of explaining to the beloved audience and me why you're saying what you're saying, and I accept it. But I have one final question for you. No. The Constitution of the United States says that there should not be more than 1 representative per district. We in the Virgin Islands have 7 representatives per district. Now, it is my thought that reapportionment, giving us 1 representative per district here in the Virgin Islands, would make a tremendous difference, even though the Democratic Party is overwhelmingly the favorite. The fact that you get the check and balance that the Republican form of government that we have in the United States, but we don't have in the Virgin Islands, if we got that check and balance in there, it would make a difference And it don't matter who would might be the head of the Democratic Party, they could not have anything to do with it because each district would determine how they feel about their representative. So my question is that, will it make a difference if we have reapportionment and we went the right way of the Republican form of government and have no more than one representative per district? Will it make a difference in your opinion?
Yes, Mario. And second is about this. Who could change the status quo we have of more than one representative for a district according to the Constitution? Someone will have to challenge it into court.
No. No, we already have the authority. That is how we went from 11 members.
11 to 15.
Right. We had
Okay.
11. Right.
When we set it up,
So we have that authority, and the legislature can, in fact, reapportion itself. And we tried to. We got all the necessary signatures that the 70 needed to have. We had them, but what they did, to still, well, to defeat us is to give us a special election.
Because now if you do that, the Democrats will drop very low than they might think they want to go. So in other words, the same Democrats that we vote for fire, vote for one or two. I'm not going to deny that. When you get these things, they're not voting for it, they're knocking it down. For instance, the last thing before it, they wanted to say the people who run and who work for government will have to take leave of absence for 6 months. So what if you going to do for 6 months if they lose? What was it those who win the campaign 24/7?
Right.
And senators vote against that law? They should come to work. Because they will be threatened. Either good people, either people outside who want to run and work for government. They can't afford to take 6 months off. Whether they feed the family, whether it's the husband working or the wife working.
Well,
They vote against it, so what could they do?
but
But the same set is there, and it makes the task easy for them.
well, for what I'm hearing from you, and you articulating your situation very clearly, is that our politics is very corrupt.
Of course.
Well, there we are.
And it comes from the people, and we are blaming the senators and them voting. We the voters, we got to sit down and study out what we're doing.
Yeah.
Stop telling the churches that I'm a Democrat from 1980 when I naturalized, but I have never voted Democrat straight.
All right.
So when I had sensible people like Uzi Richard, sensible people like that vote Brian and one or two others, I couldn't go in school and vote 7 Democrats. It couldn't happen for me.
All right.
I just feel okay. I forgot to get rid of the symbol. It would have been worse. If the symbol was there for Democrat, it would have been worse. But some people don't have the symbol. Everybody in the party, everybody who run in the party get a vote. So if I'm not mistaken, 2 votes that came out of the of the symbol and the Democrat.
Yeah.
So anyway, Democrat thing. So you go in and you push Democrat, the donkey, everybody.
Well, I thank you.
Everybody. All right, sir.
I thank you so very much, and because you did a good job of explaining your position. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the darling. Where you been so long?
I've been right here in your shadow, but your shadow could be so big sometimes that I get lost in it because I properly maga, I properly maga. How are you? Welcome, my dear. Welcome.
Listen, my son, I didn't know what to do with myself from 12:30 to 4:30 for a whole month.
Right. It was unbelievable, and every week has passed by, and I asked the boss, I said, boss, we back on now. No, the station still broke down. We ain't get it fixed yet. I couldn't believe it for an entire month, an entire month. But
Yeah, man. Anyway, I called to ask you a question, and I see that you were having a discussion relating to my question about the reapportionment. Now, this is a gubernatorial year, right?
right,
And in these years, as I understand it, is when if you have a problem to place before the public, you do a referendum, right?
yeah.
So how is it that there is nothing being spoken of or even thought of it regarding reapportionment as a referendum, which it should be on this type of election?
Yeah. Well, the previous scholar pretty much answered that question. I didn't directly ask, put it in the words as you are now, but basically, I was asking pretty much the same question and what he was telling us, because in the end, I says, what you seem to be telling us is that our politics is corrupt. That's all. He said, yes, and that's so different. That's what it is. Our politics is entirely corrupt, you know, and it is led by the Democratic Party that runs thing in the Virgin Islands. And we, the people, that's the problem there I can't explain, but we, the people, embrace the Democratic Party and we are satisfied with having the Democratic Party make all of these decisions for us. Why? I don't know.
I don't understand it myself because the whole setup to me is so foreign.
Yeah,
I really don't understand
yeah.
how it even works that way.
Well, let me interrupt you to say it doesn't work that way. The structure that we are living by here in the Virgin Islands does not exist anywhere else on this planet Earth.
Earth, exactly.
That's the point I was trying to make for these people all the time. I said, this system cannot be found anywhere. If you want, just right here, go to our east to the BVI, go to our west, Puerto Rico, go anywhere you want in the Caribbean, go anywhere you want across the United States, go anywhere you want across the entire world. You will not find a system where you have multiple representatives for one district. That's the absence of check and balance right there. One
Exactly.
one
And
district.
if they wanted to make any change, this would have been the year to do it.
Absolutely. But
So
and
I guess
that's the one question I just don't have an answer to, my dear. Why is it?
uh,
Why is it that we accept the Democratic Party as our leader, so that whatever they choose for us, we accept it? Because that's what the caller was saying. He says, I don't think I'm wrong, you know. And four of those primary winners, four of them will be in the 37th legislature. So to tell you, how strongly we the people believe in this corrupt Democratic Party.
and we settle for it. We don't want nothing better.
There you
Not
are.
at all.
There you are.
Not at all.
There- Don't have an answer to that one at all. I just don't know. But we all know that it's wrong. We all know that, it doesn't require going to court. It's right there in the Constitution. It's a Republican form of government. That's what check and balance all about. one district, one representative. That's wherever you go in the world. You know, here you say, well, we gotta go to court to check that. No, we don't
No,
have to go to
no,
court. The legislature can, the same way the legislature changes them from being an 11-member body with 7 districts and 4 at large to 15 members, the same way they could reapportion it now. And they could have, well, again, I would suggest 9 districts, 4 districts St. Croix, 4 districts St. Thomas, 1 district St. Croix, St. John. That would be
that makes
nine
sense.
districts right there.
That makes sense because
Well,
it would balance.
but of
But
course,
I heard somebody who I thought had better sense say, what's reapportionment? What that mean? I said, listen, let's just terminate the conversation because it don't even, all the explanation that you have been doing
yeah,
over the years to explain what that is,
yes,
and somebody is still gonna say, what does reapportionment mean?
yep.
We just lost, we're lost, we're lost.
We
That's
are,
all
we
it is.
are, and it's sad that we just have no explanation for it. I cannot explain why it is that we are so comfortable with the Democratic Party running our lives. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Well, they like it so.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we
let,
like it
let me
so.
let me let somebody else get in, and you have a wonderful day.
Well, you made
Okay,
it so.
Pastor Garcia.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for your call. I missed you. All right,
okay.
all right, all right,
Me too. Bye.
all right. Yes, beloved. And when it comes down to is our lack of information and enlightenment. We need to inform ourselves. We need to enlighten ourselves. And I've said it once, I've said it umpteen times. Beloved, the last time we had inside out cultivation, meaning the last time we was growing and developing from the inside out, the way our growing things grow and develop was over 100 years ago when we had the St. Croix Labor Union led by David Hamilton Jackson. Since then, we have not had the leadership in the Virgin Islands that recognizes that we are the descendants of enslaved Africans who were deprived of our very humanity, deprived of everything that human beings require. And now, for the past 100 years, we have been living under a government that, hey, we would think we the people from Nebraska or Kansas or anywhere in the States that, hey, we good to go. We don't need no inside out cultivation. But let's take the break, beloved. So lick your cream because after ice cream is just so good for your soul. And yes, indeed, we've got somebody on our doorstep, and our mama did raise us to be respectful.
Yes.
And so, beloved, let's do it. Open the door and welcome them and say, good afternoon to you. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moorhead. How are you?
Trying to be as well as how you sound. You sound good.
Yes, trying my best. Mr.
Yeah, man,
Moorhead.
we hear some lively folk crack in the background.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right about that one.
Yeah,
But I just call it right. Since the primary election just passed here, right?
yeah,
This is me. This is how I choose to look at it, right?
sure.
The lesser of two evils, just win it, all right? Because yes, Stacey Plaskett got her history and her issues with the Epstein situation there. Well, much like the president of the United States, because he got that then, he still got plenty of supporters that don't care anything about it. They still support him, they're still backing you up, they will still re-elect him for an illegal third term, despite what the Constitution said, right?
Right.
But you see, compare her to the other candidate, Roach, right? The former lieutenant governor for the Bryan administration. Now, as far as I'm concerned, he was probably one of the worst lieutenant governor we ever had. Because in them 8 years, these 8 years so far,
Yeah.
we never hear a word coming out of him for anything that was going on in the Virgin Islands, right?
I hear you.
See, at least with Parta and Matt, we were hearing Parta trying to help everybody with the insurance crisis after Maria.
Yeah.
We never used to hear anything from Roach. Nothing at all. And voting for him would be the equivalent of re-electing Bryan, as far as I'm concerned, for a third term.
Right.
But even worse than that is his running mate. The current Senator Noel Francis and former VIPD commissioner.
Yeah.
Now, for my part, I never hear this man ever mention anything in his, 5 or 6 terms, I believe he gained in 2015, it was, so maybe 5 or 6 terms. I never mentioned him explain or give any explanation really about the tragedy, the death, the untimely murder of Shakira Gautier. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
He was the VIPD commissioner at the time.
Yes, and she died as it was.
That's something.
That was in police headquarters.
Correct. That was in the department of Virgin Islands Police Department in Fredericksburg, right down there in Fredericksburg.
Yes.
And he never gave an explanation in his entire time in the Senate. Not even when he was running for office the first thing, he really gave an explanation.
Right.
So he suddenly felt he was worthy of becoming a lieutenant governor. And God forbid, if Roach was to become the governor, in 8 years, chances are Noel Francis, the VIPD commissioner, would probably try to run for governor as well, because that's normally what has happened.
Right.
So with all of this that was going on, I just see it just pretty much, I'm thankful that some people, the majority of the people were able, maybe they don't know what I'm talking about right now, but some people were able to see through the mirror of what Roach was hiding there with his lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
Because from what I was being told and understanding is that Donna Fred Gregory was looking for Noel Francis to be her lieutenant governor, but she couldn't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
And that's why I'm saying that the lesser of two evils got elected into office. Now, we're going to have, I guess, 5 candidates for the general election, from what I understand. I believe it's
Klasky, Benta, Donna Store, Gustav, and Mosley. So we got Democrats, 3 independents, and a Green Party candidate apparently now. Green Party, whenever you say hear from ever before, I don't think in Virgin Islands. You could correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Moore. I don't
No. You're correct.
We never hear from the Green Party all of a sudden. Now we're hearing them. They're supposed to be one of the most liberal parties.
Yeah.
But apparently now, we're running for this. But at the end of the day, we can only hope, right, that people here in the Virgin Islands can make a decision that's going to finally benefit all of us. Because we don't get too much back and forth with St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. Let me just say St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we don't get this back and forth business. And hopefully that now that probably what could have been one of the worst administration, as far as I can, this is my point of view, Roach and Francis is out of office, we could probably get something positive done here in the Virgin Islands. I only hope for the best. You see what I'm saying, Mr. Moore?
I hear you, but again, I am pretty much agreeing with everything you're saying. The question that I would have for you is like, but again, without dismissing any of the 3 teams, I don't remember hearing anything that promises positive change for us, the people of the Virgin Islands. Like just before the break, the caller was talking about it, said, listen, everywhere in the world, you have one representative for one district. In the Virgin Islands, you have 7 for 1. You have no accountability, no check and balance. You hear nothing at all from the candidates about that.
Right.
You know, but yet and still we accept it.
Right.
You know, and so how could we expect any change? There's not going to be any change. I mean, again, I speak about the history of our Virgin Islands here all the time, trying to point out to us how rich our history is just compared to other Caribbean islands, you know, and yet and still, you know, say you'd never hear a candidate talking about including history. What Brian La Act 42, you know. Again, why don't they implement that? They don't. And yet I said, we accept it and we're going along with that. And you saying it's a lesser of evil. And I said, well, okay, you could look at it that way. But the fact is, we deserve better than the lesser of evil.
Well, that is always the way you can only look at it at the end of the day, you know, Mr. Moorhead.
Yeah.
See what it says. But you see, that's interesting. I got to bring up, you talk about reapportionment, because I remember when the special election for reapportionment was going on, I went and voted for you.
Yeah, that's what they did to us. They put our special election because they knew that people were going to turn out. And so even if the people turned out and voted for it, if you did not have at least 50% of the people coming out, it wasn't valued. So we were losing before we even start.
Right.
You know, but the point is that the legislature has the authority to do this. And we don't have any candidates speaking to this. And we don't demand it. We accept what they offer us. And like you're saying, and I said, I hear what you're saying, don't I care you articulate it very clearly. We have to settle for the lesser of evils. And I said, God, Harry, the judgment, what we going to do better than that?
That's the unfortunate reality of what we have faced every single election.
Yes.
So, Mr. Moore,
Yes.
the lesser to you, and since this is a gubernatorial election, that's why it is. The primary was lesser of 3 evils, but be the lesser of 5 evils,
I hear you.
unfortunately, as they would say.
Yeah.
Now, before I go, right, Mr. Moorhead, let me just ask you, right? You managed to get a copy of the book, Blood in Bassin, the story of emancipation, 1848 in Christiansted.
I read it, yes.
You read it? Oh, okay. I just got it just the other day, so I'm looking forward to reading
Yes,
that.
and in time she will be here, and we will definitely have her on so that she could deliver herself, because I'm very proud of Miss Dowden. Very, very proud of her.
Yes, yes. I was hoping. I know you haven't been on for like a month now.
Yeah,
I was hoping to hear her voice there. Come on your show and talk about that. But
who knows? Maybe next week, but soon, as soon as she's ready, as soon as she's ready.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you for your call. All right.
Okay, right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You just said something that it triggered a thought. So they said that you in order to get the reapportionment, you had to have 50% of the registered voters.
No. What? The special election is what we're talking about. But we don't require a special election. We don't require any kind of election to get reapportionment. This is what they did. This is what they did to make sure that it did not survive.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it actually never did up to the people.
No.
Mm.
And the fact is, they would say that it has to go through Congress, it got to go through the courts and this, that. No. The legislature already has the authority. That is how they were able to reapportion it from an 11-member body to a 15-member body.
Right.
They have that authority.
Mm.
But again, we allow them to get away with it. As like callers have been saying here just this afternoon. You know, the Democratic Party is the single party running things in our government, and we accept it, we embrace it, we go along with it.
Yeah. And then also the history, since coming back home, I've been discovering all kinds of stuff. There's very significant things about VI history, which I took VI history twice, basically, and none of this ever was talked about.
No.
And it's the kind of a bland stuff that is rather boring, about Columbus and all that kind of stuff. And then you have some really interesting things that I, only as an adult, I'm finding out, and
we have in the Virgin Islands, and particularly the big island of St. Croix, we have some of the richest history that you'll find out in its entire Caribbean region. And we're not a large island. We're tiny, but we be considered a small island. And yet we have some of the richest history, and our own leaders, our own government neglects our history.
Yeah.
We allow this to go that way.
And it's because our people kind of reject it. And we really need to, even if they don't expand it to all the grades, they need to look at what they actually are teaching in the high school which is required. It's like how is that what we decided to put in? The one
they tell us
and we choose the most benign, uninteresting portions of it, and this is what we're. And so you can see why a lot of people in the Virgin Islands don't really think too much about being a Virgin Islander, because what was presented to them is nothing interesting, nothing significant. When there's all this material there that would establish people's pride in the Virgin Islands and also in themselves, they would come away with a better feeling of themselves. And it's like, we're really doing a disservice to our children with what we put in and what we teach them about VI history. It's a major disservice. I've never seen this anywhere. Other islands, in the States, and, they give their children the interesting things about them and things that they know would establish pride in themselves. And then to look at what we give our children, it's like, why? What are we doing?
You tell me, because it's step STEP. I said they need to put the H in there. S for science, T for technology,
like this.
H for history, E for engineering, and M for mathematics. That's the way it should be. It needs to have an H in there. STH. STHEM.
Yeah. I don't. We're doing something that I don't know people to do. You pick the thing that's least connected to the people you're teaching. You talk about all kinds of other people, and exclude the portions that deal with them and their ancestors, and that is far more interesting than the stuff you're teaching them. It's quite amazing what we're doing, and nobody's thinking that we need to stop it. But anyway, just you sparked my thoughts.
Well, we got a spot for you. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Adele, welcome.
It feels like a month of Tuesdays I haven't heard you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. From the end of June to the end of July.
Wow, that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. We couldn't believe it as each week that passed by. We said, "You sure we?" Unbelievably, so it lasted for a month.
All right, but I got to big up Josh and Jen because these people are not just workers or manager; they're in their own right electronic engineers to get the transmitter and whatever back on the air, so forth, so on.
They told me something called capacitors. Well, I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I know what capacitors are. Yeah, but so let me say this. I'm calling from the BVI. Am I clear?
Yes, you're clear.
Very good, very good. Now, I had just tuned in when I heard, I believe it was the last caller talking to you, and he used the term the lesser of the evils.
Yeah.
So I have a funny feeling about the use of that word. Because to me, what it's saying is that I would say more than the evil. That's why it's the lesser. I don't know. But is that what we're looking for in leaders? We line up 10 of them there and we pick the one that less fit. Or we gonna pick that one?
Well, that has been my reproach there, and I refuse to buy into that telling us that, hey, this is the only choice to accept the lesser of evils. And I said, well, why is it that everyone has accepted the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands as our leaders? Why do we have to settle for them leading us?
Well, it tends to say or show that it is the only one that could lead us.
Well, that's how you got the lesser of evils in.
I don't know, Mario. I don't know whether we're going sideways, crossing, up, down, back, or front.
Yeah.
I
I have Democratic friends. We can talk politics, but I don't disagree with all of them or everything that they have to say.
Yeah.
But I do disagree with them and those that are totally dominant Democrats. Because they want me to swallow and say, see, you do a thing wrong. And you shouldn't leave the Virgin Islands. Not the thing you do wrong. So I don't have no yardstick to measure who is wrong than who. But in following the caller, that he used Trump as well too. And even there, how could it spend up 43 million followers with all the wrong that he done? You know, them and they will say, well, we didn't care about that. Don't tell me say this. I don't care what he do. I care what he do. He's supposed to be the governor. Well, that's your choice. I mean, she wouldn't get there by me. Let's say that's your choice. But I don't know. To me, Mario, the thing that is wrong of the whole thing is what we are teaching our children. That to get yourself in trouble, you don't walk the straight and narrow. You don't go the straight and moves. You go the crooked and moves, and you'll get elected. Next time. Over and over. Well, if that's the message we're sending, then with the youth and the vim and the vigor and the, what I would call, high temperament, then we're in for a lot of trouble. Because they don't say that reason. The reason that the blade of a machete or the bullet of a gun.
Well,
That's what we want, and that's what we did.
well, I stand firmly my understanding that I embrace that a Republican form of government must stand on checks and balances.
Of course.
And without the check and balance, we do not have a Republican form of government. You could call it a democracy, you call it whatever you want to call it, but it will not be Republican form because you've got to be able to have checks on power. And this is the whole point here. This is why we have 7 representatives in one district, so that you have no one to check, no one to balance anything. It's 7 against 1.
So we got no checker to check the checker.
Thank you. You know, and again, matter of fact, I might as well just say it now. But this is why I know, like, the nominee, the Democratic Party nominee for governor now is Plaskett Potter. I don't expect they're not going to come here, because the last time, and this is a couple of years ago now, that the delegate came and sat for an interview, you know, and I pointed out she told me that if you want to have check and balance and you want to have one representative per district, you have to go to court for that. I said, it's in the Constitution. She says, yes, but you need to have a judge to tell you that. I said, what kind of nonsense you're telling me, Madam Delegate? She says, I'm disrespecting her. I said, I'm not. You know, so again, I don't expect that she would come here. I don't expect that.
You know, but Mario, again, and you have said it, if we bring this on ourselves,
yeah,
because we are allowing these hooligans to run wild and believe they are our boss.
yeah.
When we are the boss
Right.
So, what you want, you get it. Whether it's here in the closet or the toilet, you get it.
That's right.
You know? Anyway, I go hang up and listen and
Thank you for the call, man. Thank you for the call. Keep good. Stay strong. All right. And beloved, yes, we at the top of the hour. So we are going to urge you to lick your cream, beloved, because Absent ice cream is just so good for your soul. Make sure. Oh, love it. So she is now a candidate as an independent.
Yes, she has thrown her hat into the race. She is ready to go. Let's hope she's ready to go.
Well, got into one caller. 4 of the 7 nominees came out on Saturday.
Yeah.
Guaranteed to be a part of the 37 legislature.
I'm with
him,
you.
there's just room for 3 new ones.
Okay. I'm with you. I was saying 3 plus a maybe, but he says 4. I can see it. I can see it most definitely. Most definitely. Because you got who's top of the list? VLA, and then Lisa J. Charles. She's run a good race. She's got a lot of posters around the place. I haven't seen too many things of her speaking, or videos, but I've definitely seen a lot of posters.
We're back with a win. And we got a caller with a message, understand, for us. So let us go there and invite him in. Good afternoon to you.
How are you?
Thank you. We love it. I look off for good. I'm serious with Jojo, so. Yes, man. Hey, can't thank you enough for that, Jojo. Can't thank you enough. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Well, I want to put in quick. One day I won't be able to do the quick show to the time on the show coming up the 15th of August. So I'm able to do the quick show. We have a meeting tonight.
Right.
So I don't want to pass on something to my room. We're doing this is our 13th sports award.
Wow, number 13. Wow.
And it's more than 13 because we together for 20 years of this. First people was non-profit.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, man.
And then we got organized now with 20 years totally doing this thing. We only missed 2 years because of the coronavirus. So I want to thank everybody who supported us so far and come and celebrate our 20th days together. And the August 15th at the same Clinical Balback building, which we call it Paris Ground.
Right.
You take it over there ready to Amsterdam and Scream and One Love in Gas Station and Princess. It's only $25 and you got better food.
Right.
And we speaking about food, Mario. We ain't been out finger.
Yeah, thank you. Food.
Yeah, food. So I hope everybody will go down to the ticket because we don't have to take no money to the tour.
Good thing. Yeah.
And I keep saying this over and over. We know there's an election year coming up. We're begging people that will come in. If your schedule, don't come without I support him, John Doe, John. We not allowing it.
Yeah, this is not politics. This is sports.
Right. And if you come with if you buy a ticket and you come to say you're going to challenge me, we will not refund you back, and then you will not come in either. So we're not security.
Sound good to me.
So that's you to just respect for the show. The show belongs to we only find the show. The show belongs to the analysts and the other people that want to come to support the show.
Right.
So you come up $25. I said, I'm trying to do the ticket. Oh, yeah, already. So go and do a ticket. All you don't wait till the last minute. I want it done. There's no more.
Right.
And you see, we are about 21 people total, about a little more than that, but we try to honor as much as we can honor. So I beg everybody to come out, enjoy the show, and enjoy yourself.
Good thing.
I'm going to leave the house now, Mario.
Well, thank you so very much, and we can congratulate you and thank you enough for all you do for all of us. So, on behalf of all my beloved audience, thank you, Choco. And you keep on keeping. We need you in this community. We need you.
Okay, Mario.
All right. Beloved, in the house, we have none other than Michael Henry. He is here. And so, thank you, Dr. Henry. I would like to say, we would very much appreciate your overview of what took place Saturday. No extensive anything, just quick summation of what you thought. What was that event that we know as the primary election in the Virgin Islands? And so with that, we like to welcome you, and we hope to be informed and enlightened as we always are when you're in the house.
Yeah, thank you. Saturday, I don't know if I can add much to what is obvious. I think the results.
Well, don't take it so obvious to you, might not be obvious to many of us.
Right. You know, I think who won, I think most people were surprised. I think, you know, from what I could gather, discussions and what took place, I think the results were what I was expecting for the most part. I'm trying to think if I had any surprises. I don't really think so. I think they were as I was expecting. You know, the candidate for governor, lieutenant governor, he was a delegate for Congress. I think she had advantages that played out. Not too surprising. We'll see what happens in the general election, and whoever takes who's governor. They have a lot to do. This is not a term where they can just be there. They need to be responsive. As I said the last time, I think healthcare and energy are two major. We have a lot of issues, you know, so they are the major issues. But I think most people would agree that those are the two that come to the top. And of those two, we have the money to fix one, and so we need to do it. We saw what happens when you play around with money and don't do anything with it. You know, there are plenty of people across the nation that would like to get their hands on that money, and will if we don't spend it. And so I think energy comes to the top of the things we should be focused on right now. They should be working towards the other, because the healthcare is important, but they don't have the money for it. So they should be working on gaining that money. But we have money for energy. And but unfortunately, I don't think any of the winners have talked about it, which is concerning.
Well, if I might, that's the segue I suppose that I would have wanted. You gave it to me, which is that if we, for now at any rate, speaking in terms of the candidates for governor,
Mhm.
we heard a lot about what could happen, what should have happened, but I don't recall hearing about what we could expect to happen,
Mhm.
particularly in the case of the delegate. I don't have TV. I'm not connected with social media, so the information I have is limited when compared to the average member of our community. And yet, I was able to hear talk in terms of what she made available for the territory.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, fine. So you suggested that, you made some dollars available for us here in this territory, but the government did not take advantage of that. But peculiarly, you're not telling us what it is that you would do, with that money. And so
You would
I,
expect that, that, okay, they didn't do this, and this is what they should have done. You would expect to come after, and as you said, it really isn't there so far. And to me, some people say, oh, well, they don't, I don't want to talk about it because then somebody's going to take my idea. But it's like, if it's a good idea, yes, you would like to do it because it was your idea. But if it's a good idea, what we should be doing, does it really matter who does it? You would want somebody to do it. And if you spoke out and have been speaking out about it, people would know if the person goes and does it, they would know that it was your idea. Other people would be like, okay, yeah, that's what so-and-so was always talking about. So you'll get the credit. But it shouldn't really be about the credit. It should be, credit. I mean, if you work hard on something, you would like some credit for it. But at the same time, I would like just for it to be done, because I thought that was the thing that should be done and it would benefit the people. And so in any case, we should be hearing from them what they plan to do, and especially when it comes to WAP. The money's there; it's going to need to be spent, and we saw from in the past that it could be spent unwisely and costly to us, and we end up in the same hole after spending millions of dollars. We spent like what was that, 162 million or so on the propane thing, and St. Thomas is having outages all the time. Spent a lot of money and actually ended up in a worse situation in some senses. And so we have seen what can happen when good planning is not done. And there's a lot that is happening now that are pointing us in a direction, which is natural gas. And I say natural gas is the same as liquefied natural gas or LNG for short. So if you hear any of this stuff, it's pretty much the same thing. On the mainland, it's natural gas because they do it by pipelines directly from the source to the homes and power plants. So they never liquefy it because they just let it run through the pipes. But then if you're talking about delivering to an island, you would need to liquefy it. You just cool it down. And just like water vapor turns from water vapor to liquid. And although it's not a common thing that has been happening in the VI because we're in the middle of a drought, but that's what normally happens when it rises up. The upper atmosphere is cooler than the earth. The atmosphere is close to the earth, so as it goes up, it cools, goes from a vapor to a liquid, and then as it builds up, and that's what the clouds are. Clouds are just little tiny water droplets. If you were to, if you were like Superman and flew through a cloud, you just began little sprinkles on your face. And then when it builds up enough and the droplets get big enough, then they fall to the ground. And that's what is rain. So
I am still trying to hear how you react to what I thought was an unsurprising primary campaign, in that I thought that if for no other reason than because the delegate was on a national level,
right,
in terms of the trial for the impeachment of the president.
right,
There's been talk about that, but again, none of her opposition mentioned anything about that, as far as I know.
yeah,
And again, the other one being the infamous Jeffrey Epstein. Again, nothing there. But most importantly, what little that I was able to understand is that, the delegate speaking in terms of all she accomplished,
right,
in terms of delivering
right,
for the Virgin Islands. But I never heard, of what it is that she would do,
Right.
And so that, again, it's a campaign about all I did for the Virgin Islands as delegate to Congress.
And
now that is like one side of the coin. The other side of the dialectic is that we're like, okay, as governor now, you would what?
right.
With all of this.
And especially, she said her motivation for running for governor was that she brought the money, and now it needs to be spent, and things need to happen. And that's why she's going to be the person to make things happen.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard, well, make what happen?
Yeah, that's what I'm dropping in your lap.
Yeah.
To tell me if I'm wrong, because like I said,
no, you're not.
No TV and no other social media stuff.
Right.
But that's the message that I got.
But
and from the other candidates, there's the Roach Francis, there's the Gregory Moorhead.
The same thing.
Again.
And see, that's the thing. I think what she's figuring is, I don't have to. Nobody does. Nobody really says what they're going to do. Nobody's saying what they're going to do. So I don't need it to win. I could keep it to my chest. If I do indeed have it, I could keep it in thing, because nobody else is saying anything. So I don't need, and apparently she didn't need it to win, because she won handedly without ever having to say what it is. And that's our fault.
Yeah.
We have a history of voting for people who just give us generalities and don't tell us anything that they're going to actually do.
Yeah.
And in the cases where they have, a lot of times points to the fact that they don't quite know what that position does. We've had people running for Senate that are saying that they're going to do things that only the governor could do. Like more than half of they have a list, and more than half of the stuff they have on there, the Senate doesn't really control that. That's the executive branch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think over the years, people have realized, I don't need to, and I might be sticking my foot in something if I do. So why take the chance if nobody's asking me to? That they will vote for me anyway, without me ever saying anything specific about what I'm going to do. I don't step on anybody's toes. I don't get it. And they may want to, and their campaign people might be telling them, don't do that. You're taking a risk that you don't need to take. And so people have gotten elected without doing it. Don't do it. Because you might, you may create enemies for yourself that you didn't need to. You could have just kept your mouth shut, give generalities, and win. So it's really our fault. We have a history of electing people who don't say what they plan to do. They just
Right.
do a nice little jingle, have a good campaign slogan, a nice T-shirt, entertain the people, bumpsy rides or different things, and you get elected without ever saying what it is you plan to do when you get in.
But this speaks to why it would be important for political candidates to keep the people of this population as ignorant as possible.
Exactly. and, and,
Right.
and they're clearly doing that when you look at the scores from our you just look at our third graders. I mean, that's the math. That's addition, third grade, addition, subtraction, multiplication.
Mhm.
You're not talking about the higher levels when they're doing algebra and calculus and that. No, they are failing at the third grade level. And so that is telling us that we are not even trying. There's no way, if we could not be trying and getting those results. And our children are not dumb. They're not stupid. Our children go, when they are educated, they go on to do all kinds of marvelous things that are surprising from such a small population with such small resources. Our children are quite capable, but we just haven't been educating them.
But that's just it. Here we are. A population overwhelmingly of descendants of enslaved Africans.
Yep.
Yet we have no impetus to want to take advantage of this overwhelming majority to focus us on what playing catch up.
It
was it's like that proverbial race is like I have been unable to exercise forever. Now you bring me out here and you put me in a place against these Olympic athletes, and then you complain that I'm not competitive.
Yep. And it's not, it's us. This is what we're doing to our children. We are not, they are quite capable. And when you do give them a little help, they go off to do all kinds of amazing things with just a little bit of help. That's one of the reasons I came home, is that I realized.
But that's one of the reasons why you're sitting where you're sitting, and why we want you there, to inform and enlighten our beloved audience, because that is just it. We want to say it's not impossible to have affordable and reliable power.
No,
that's not an impossibility.
Just like
and
teaching.
You told us over and over.
Just like teaching third graders multiplication tables, it's not that difficult. If you even halfway trying, you will get success. And we have the potential. And the same thing with WAPA, we have the potential to fix the problem. And things are lining up. So I just found out that Ocean Point, who's doing the oil storage, they are also doing liquid natural gas transfers from ship to ship. They recently, and apparently 3 years ago they started developing it, and they said it was going to be developed and done ready in 3 years. So I'm assuming they do, and something recently came out, and it sounds like they have their capability. What they're doing is to be able to supply the region with natural gas. They are doing ship to ship transfer. So a big ship will come in from either the States or and they would then transfer to smaller ships that can go to the different islands in the Caribbean. And they say they have that ready. So I'm like, okay, how are we not going to be doing natural gas? There are going to be big ships coming in with natural gas to connect to smaller ships to send to other places in the Caribbean. So I looked up and see the Dominican Republic, they have a number of natural gas plants. Puerto Rico had one. I'm not sure if it's still in thing. Jamaica, the Bahamas, they all have natural gas plants, and they all get shipments. And so the shipments are coming at least as far as the Dominican Republic. And I guess that's what they're doing, that they're going to extend it now to St. Croix. And then move the natural gas to smaller ships that they could go to the other islands. And apparently also Antigua has a company that has doing a natural gas containment to do the same similar thing. That they have a ship they bought that is gonna bring in the natural gas and then store it in Antigua and then send it to whoever wants.
Well,
And so we have absolutely no excuse not to use that $600 million to put in a natural gas plant.
well, I'm totally in agreement with you, but again,
But we haven't heard anything from anybody who's running.
since we spoke last week, we haven't gotten any results whatsoever, and it seems to me that the backers, the sponsors of these debates, are quite satisfied.
With what happened?
You know, because with it.
Oh,
And
Lord.
they're pleased with the results of these debates. There are really no issues, there's no contention.
And this is why the power goes out in St. Thomas every so often, and also St. Croix, not as often, but still, at rates that shouldn't be happening. And this is why it's going to continue, because we are satisfied when they give us fluff, when they give us nonsense, when they give us, and I've seen this over the years, WAPA gives these stupid answers to questions when stuff happens, and people just accept it, and it comes part, again, to the education. They don't know any better. They don't know that I'm sitting there because I have had my experience in education. I know what WAPA to be saying is nonsense. It doesn't make any kind of sense to what has happened. But the other people don't know any better. And so WAPA uses some words they don't understand and whatnot. And they're like, okay, they know what they're doing. And this is why our children continually get worse and worse. It's because I guess just like there's a commercial on TV now, and it's on TV or the radio I hear, but one of the two. Basically, the person is saying having a smart child is costly. Meaning that you have to do, they're gonna want to be in this club, they're gonna want to be in that, they're gonna want to do this activity, and so they're gonna want a computer, they're gonna want a rocket, you're gonna have to spend money on them. If they're, and they were saying it as a joke, but that's the reality. I think that's the way our government looks at us. Having an educated public, they're gonna be more difficult. They're gonna get into stuff. They're gonna do stuff. Having them not educated, they'll sit there and be docile and play with their fingers, and be satisfied. And that's the way I've seen that's what they handle.
Well, if it's left up to me, I would see you as a tool, very effective tool that we as a community are desperately in need of.
Yes. It's clear that, and to anybody, an educated public, that society does better. If you didn't have an educated public, we wouldn't have the iPhone. We wouldn't have the computer. We wouldn't have so many things that it's educated people.
Yeah.
And it's not just one. It's, so Steve Jobs and Steve Owinski created the Apple computer, which ultimately they did the iPhone and stuff. But they didn't do it in a vacuum. Why they were able to do it is that they were living in Silicon Valley and they had a computer club that they used to be a part of. And so that's where the ideas would flow, and that's where they got the ideas and to do. And a lot of stuff they heard about stuff, like for example, the mouse, they were the first to use a mouse. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't really their idea. They found out about it through their computer club, that there was some guy that had this in his garage.
Mhm.
And so they went over and visited him and whatnot, and then that's what got them. So it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when you have an educated community of people doing all kinds of stuff. And some one of those things ends up becoming something that boosts the economy of that area. And
this is a call or not. But I'm gonna try it. Good afternoon. I guess it is not. But let me try this. Okay. I don't get it. Good afternoon.
Pleasant good afternoon. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, we missed you.
I miss you too on the trivia history questions.
Oh, okay. Well, we hope we have a good one for you later. In another hour or so. But we have Michael Henry here for you. The physicist.
Oh, he's the guest?
Well, he's more of the tool.
Okay.
A tool that we're using to try and get our candidates for offices to be more articulate about the intention if they're successful. Like we heard a lot about lots of money that came from Washington as a result primarily of the delegate, but we never heard what they would do with that money. And like right now, we know there's over $600 million available for WAPA here in St. Croix, but we have not heard any of the candidates speak to what they would do with this $600 million, much less acknowledge that it is there, available to be used for St. Croix WAPA. So yes, we are hopefully trying to stimulate some things with, seasoning the pot.
Well, that's one of the biggest elephants in the room, the WAPA dilemma. And there are other issues. So I congratulate the winners, but I also give them my condolences because you have a lot of major issues to deal with. Of course, no progress can be made overnight. We got the 5 that I have identified. Of course, I would put healthcare as number 1 because if you're not healthy, you're not well, or you're dead, nothing else matters really. And I would put, of course, WAPA dilemma, the issue with the educational system. I believe also we have to address public safety. We've seen a rush, an increase of home invasions and domestic violence cases and shooting. So definitely crime, attention to the crime issue. And one that is a great concern to me is GRS. I know the governor for a moment put a band-aid on the problem, and the senators had an opportunity to now say, well, it's a band-aid, but what are we going to do? And instead, they just trash the governor for his proposal. I always say, if you propose. So I haven't heard anything coming from the incumbents as far as the GRS. It's a pyramid. How are you going to address that situation? But in the end, the final analysis, the money is at the forefront. And with that hard letter, that's going to impact so many areas. We have a crisis in mental illness and
well, before we lose ourselves, as you are enveloping us with all the problems that confront us, we'd like to try to deal with what is possible. Right now,
Solution.
$600 million. $600 million available for WAPA and St. Croix. And please tell us, if you are a candidate then, what would you do? Because this is where we're at here. We just got through the primary. $600 million available for St. Croix WAPA. And no one, not one candidate, had absolutely anything to say about that.
No, any of the other things that you mentioned, and I would agree with just about all of them. But I would put
I single out WAPA because the
right,
money's there.
right. So I would put WAPA ahead of healthcare because we don't have the money sitting there to solve healthcare.
Yeah.
We need to work on getting the money, but we have the money for WAPA.
Yeah.
So because of that, I would say WAPA would jump to the beginning over healthcare because we can actually do something about that.
Yes.
While we need to work on getting the money for healthcare, but that's going to take a while, and then we're going to have to figure out what to do with it. But we have the money for WAPA.
Yes.
So that makes it a priority.
Yes.
Because so it doesn't end up like HUD, where they end up taking it back because we're playing around with it.
So what do you say, Carla?
I got St. Croix. The propane is being used. My understanding it's not. They're using the regular fossil fuel and St. Thomas. So we have to really analyze what has worked. And I know they've been like hundreds of feasibility studies, but this one may be an in-depth feasibility study. I would like to see solar power as an alternative. The sun is not always up, but you have the batteries. So the use of technology, conservation.
Yeah. Well, let me jump in there. So solar is not. I like solar too, but the batteries are not a good solution because they don't last forever, and in hot and humid climates they last about half the time that they last in colder climates. So whatever they say for the States, you can cut that time in half for us unless we have them in an air-conditioned a facility where the temperature and climate is such as this in the States. And that's going to cost money. We know, from people who have AC in their homes, how expensive it is to run AC. So batteries are not. And then in addition to that, they don't last that long. So you're going to have to dispose of them after about 7 years. So I don't like eventually batteries are going to get better. So maybe down the road, batteries might be a sensible thing. But right now, I don't see that. I don't see batteries being, for at least for us, battery for what we have to deal with in our climate and our this waste management and all that. I don't see batteries as a plus. I see that's going to be something that is going to be problematic down the road. And what I've said before is, yes, solar during the day, but then we could have waste the energy at night, and so not needing the batteries whatsoever.
But what are your thoughts? Every school should be equipped with generators because we see at this point what happened in the primary election.
But if we,
Central High School couldn't be used because
but if we do,
the unit was down.
Right, but if we do right by WAPA, if we put in the proper system and maintain it, then generators won't be necessary. In the States, they're not necessary because you have a reliable power plant. So, and that's what we should be working towards, that everybody, not just the schools, but everybody is getting reliable energy.
Question. Is $600 million a sufficient amount of investment to make a difference in us having reliable and affordable power?
More than enough. We
Well
can,
then, okay, well,
For
why
natural-
don't we impress this on the candidates?
Yeah. And it also implies that that the federal government is looking for something major, more than just replacing the Richmond power plant, because it doesn't take $600 million to replace the Richmond power plant, and so we can do a whole lot more than that. And again, everything is pointing to natural gas. Ocean Point is having, they should have what they're saying, they should have a system now, and what the latest article I saw, they are talking about it, that they are dealing with liquid natural gas, and which is again taking it from a big tanker coming in and giving it to smaller tankers to service the Caribbean. How we are servicing the rest of the Caribbean and we are not going to use it ourselves?
Well, this is what I said. So, Carla, if you were a candidate and there's $600 million available to St. Croix, and you hear it, that $600 million is more than enough to impact a substantial change in WAPA St. Croix. How do you respond to that?
Well, I would say the thought of not completely relocating the refinery to the South Shore.
The power plant, you mean?
I would say that we definitely need to, as expeditiously as possible, consider putting up a unit in with brand new equipment, because it's costing to maintain all equipment. So you need all worn-out equipment, because the maintenance is high. In the end, you have to replace and so forth.
So why aren't we hearing this kind of talk from the candidates? $600 million. Carla, $600 million.
We've never had an opportunity like this, and I don't know where we're going to get an opportunity like this again.
Well, you're doing it now. I mean, I hope they're listening, the candidates, and I always say,
well, this is why I continue to interrupt you, Carla, because that's just it. I want to impress on our beloved audience through you as a caller, is that we have $600 million. We're not talking about trying to get it. We have $600 million.
How much
300
million.
Which is also telling.
How come? I don't know, but in any event, we need to definitely address that. Some of the candidates, maybe they don't know.
But and that's problematic. They need to know.
All the more reason, yes. Well, at least why I, as a host, are being disruptive, because I want to make a point about it. There's $600 million available just for St. Croix. And we're not hearing anything from any of the candidates.
And this is a federal government that has looked and studied our issue. They know all the possibilities, all the things, and they have come back with $600 million for St. Croix, $300 million for St. Thomas.
Well, I have proposed on my show a contest, not just aspirants, anybody, a competition. Submit your proposal to.
Well, again,
WAPA.
I'm being disruptive, but I think we need to stick with the candidates, because we got a 3-month period here between now and November. And there's $600 million available now.
And this is what they should be doing. This is.
I don't have a problem. I hear some candidates. I'm not going to talk about my idea because somebody's going to steal it. I'm like, I wish people would steal the ideas I have.
There you go.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's how candidates, especially gubernatorial candidates, do. They have somebody. They have people in each area. Somebody in finance. Somebody in housing.
Okay, well, we got a caller that's been holding on.
Okay, well, thank you. Knowledge is power, as I always say. And you continue your contribution, educating, enlightening, and inspire minds. Have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you much. Thank you much. Stay strong. All righty. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, thank you for your call. Thank you for your patience. Welcome.
Yes, I was made to understand that you have the physicist and Chen caller with you.
Yes, indeed.
Good. How are you, Mr. Henry?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Mr. Nibs?
I'm doing well. I don't know what you have heard recently, but to the question that Mario has posed or talking about just now, the $600 million that was made, well, it's made available, it was set aside for a new power plant on St. Croix, hopefully to be built in the South Shore. The last thing I heard is that the money was taken off the table. It's no longer available. And I was hoping that was not the case because we know that, number one, that 13.2 kV plant, however megawatts it produces, should not have been in that residential area to begin with. I think we all know, Mario know how it ended up there. And we should have had the situation on the South Shore plant where it should be.
Yeah.
But I mean, how serious is this information that you just
I think you might
subtly dropping on us here
yeah.
that maybe the $600 million is not available?
I think you
Mario,
might
this
be.
is not the first time I said it. I said it before the month that you went out. I have been saying what I heard, and that I hope it's not so.
Yeah,
I happen to be a member of Large Power Producers. This is an organization of power generation production people all across the country. And this is the information I received from them, and it's mainly as they say, Trump's disgust with the Guatemalans having billions of dollars sitting and doing spew with it. Now, like I said, I hope it's not so. I hope it's not so.
Yeah.
But then again, if you look at what started happening already in another area, the Housing Finance Authority, I remember when it was created. Yes, and housing is, we have mass overcrowding and breeding of interest because of shortage of housing. And if they could see to pull the plug on that, because they're not getting the correct questions, maybe the audit is not showing, or the audits are showing that the money are gone awry. I don't know.
I don't think it's the same situation. And WAPA has contracted with a company to come up with a design and to do the same kind of design as you go.
Yeah.
So while HUD was doing nothing but paying their people, so it's not the same situation. I don't think there wouldn't be a justification for them to do it because some movement has been made, and that's what we're thinking is like, well, what is that movement? What are you doing? What are you thinking about? That's what they haven't let out to the public. But it's not that they haven't done anything. They have been doing something. So FEMA would not, and this is also a different agency.
That's FEMA fund.
Right, FEMA fund. Right, and so and they have been kind of active. The energy secretary came down a couple years ago, and so on. And so
we know she was slighted. Then we know.
With HUD, no, I was talking about the FEMA, the secretary of was it Secretary of Energy? I think came down or something. But they got a different reception than Marcia Flood with HUD. So two different situations, two different scenarios that have been going on. So I would be surprised, very surprised, if there was a thing of taking back the money from the $600 million.
We'll continue to hope again. So, but Mr. Henry, you know just as much as I, federal funds
is not given for no jurisdiction to stay forever.
Right.
There's lines of things by estate plan, by estate spec, by estate, and all the governors been doing is keep going to Washington and asking for more money, and they asking them to see the plan.
Right.
You can't tell them no plan.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it is really sad. It is really sad. I don't know what it is these misleaders expect. But because from the sun, stand and see. I remember back in the days, yes, and I have done it as an official of government of the Virgin Islands, where I would, when I go to the States, I have many cases of liquor shipped up to the people that I'm going to see, and maybe back then at work, and invite them to the island, and they spend a whole week at the beach. But I don't know that is happening now. People are expecting more. They want you to be ready, and I don't think they're asking too much.
Well, they're at least
come on, you know.
They're at least asking that when they come to visit you, that you don't go off to a basketball game.
Thank you. And let me close by saying this. When it comes to where, well, I lost my train of thought there quickly. But basically what I'm saying is, I know what it is now. And the governor, even though he tried to refute it day and night, they want to tell me that they did not refuse federal technical assistance, which is available. They did refuse help. So now they're out there plunging in the wind. And the long story short, the president will let the money sitting out there forever. I gone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that is what I see a task for the next 90 days, 3 months,
right,
to the first Tuesday in November, to get these candidates, particularly the St. Croix district,
yes,
to understand that there's $600 million available for WAPA.
and they need to, if they don't have ideas, because we don't expect them to be experts on everything. Well, but what we expect is that they have people they can go to.
Absolutely.
And to get the answers. And that's what before we elect them, we need to see that they have this capability. That where if there's a question that comes up about healthcare, they have somebody and people they can run and get ideas to. Something with public safety, they can go to somebody. If they don't have the ideas, they can go to somebody. We don't expect, we know they can't be experts in everything, but what we expect is that they have a network that they can go to get these answers. And if they don't have that network, then why are we electing them? Why are we, if they should have already, if they decided they were planning to run to be a representative, to make decisions for us in all different areas, they should have been building up people that, a network of people that they can go to get information, because yes, they don't know everything. We don't expect them to know everything. Nobody knows everything. A lot of stuff that I do know, I know because I have people I can go and talk to. And this is why I know these things, that they have told me things. They have told me how to look at things, how to think about things. And then even after that, now I can look things up for myself. But I wasn't born with this ability. It is because I've interacted and people have guided me and showed me how to do it. And so that's what we should be expecting that day.
And now we are characterizing you as a tool,
right?
As you have defined it, right? And we, the people, have you as our tool to speak to disruptively as possible,
right,
to these candidates as to, well, what are you going to do about the $600 million? Are you just going to let it, go back to Washington, D.C.? What are you going to do?
Right.
And we want to hear from them.
And they have an ability to get more information out of WAPA than I do or than you do. Because, so they should be going to WAPA and saying, okay, well, what are you all planning to do? We saw what happened with the money to VIA housing. We don't want it to happen with it. What are you doing to put to move this along? And either, well, okay, you should get out to the people and tell them, or if you want, we can spread the news, but the people need to know. And a lot is happening at this point in time. We're dealing with energy, as I said, with Ocean Point and what they're planning to do, what's happening in Antigua. You know, there are things. So the conversation should be occurring. We should have some guidance. Again, with WAPA, even if they haven't totally decided on something, they can be saying, okay, these are what we're looking at. This is what we're kind of thinking that this is, but we're still gathering if it's something. But dead silence while our power goes out, that cannot be acceptable.
Unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
And we as a people should be saying, no, we are not going to accept this. We need to know something. And you need to be able to explain to us, you're the expert. You should be able to simplify it enough for us to understand what it is that you're doing. But just to say nothing while our power goes out, no, that can't be happening. And then, and again, while our power goes out, while you sit on top of $600 million to solve our problem. You're not like healthcare or the hospitals and they're like, okay, we just don't have the funds to do what we need. You have the funds. You have more than enough of funds to solve the problem. And there's dead silence.
And the problem of WAPA is, again, it's overarching. You know, yes, we don't have the money to help for hospital, but if we help WAPA, you know, it's a help to healthcare.
Because they need power.
Everybody needs power.
They need electricity to function. I mean, so many things have come technical. You know, the only thing that probably doesn't need power is the stethoscope. You know? But even that, they're taking your pulse and all that electron, everything in. If they don't have power, they can't do a whole lot for us. You know, but besides comfort us as we pass along, you know, or fly us up to the States. So it's power is all right. Again, the schools, if they don't have power, the computers don't work, the fans don't work, the pump for the water doesn't work. You know, power is behind everything. Public safety. Our security systems don't work if there's no power. You know, there's all kinds. The lights don't work. So power pretty much goes to everything except maybe the GRS. But again, the GRS needs power to send out the checks and the payments. So I don't think any of our problems, I don't see how WAPA is not a major portion of that.
It is. And that's why we're characterizing you as this tool that we have to make every possible use of between now and the first Tuesday in November, because, these candidates are trying their best to avoid,
apparently,
you know, having to respond. And we just can't allow it.
And as I told you before, I came back home for two reasons. I kind of always thought I was going to come back home, but I thought more was when I retired and maybe shifting from one thing to the other, and come home and teach for a while to transition. But when as I thought about it, having children, it started making me think about it, and my own children and the children of the Virgin Islands, remembering how it was to grow up here and knowing all the potential, looking at what my classmates did with very little. And I'm like, if we have give the children get a little push, a little bump, they could achieve so much more. And my class achieved a lot. And so that's when I came home. I came home for my children and for the children of the Virgin Islands. My children have already grown and they're gone. So now I'm just left with the children of the Virgin Islands. And to help them, they're going to need electricity.
Absolutely. That's how I look at it.
So this comes on
Reliably, affordably.
Yes.
You know.
This day and age, they will need. There's no reading by candlelight anymore. You know, if we read by candlelight, our children's eyes will go bad. You know, and so they need electricity. So this has become a major portion for me to do what I came, moved home, and I've sacrificed it. I could have gotten a lot more pay, you know, reliable electricity, internet up in the States.
We appreciate that you accept the task because you, as from my perspective, you're the only tool available to us. And we got to make use of it.
And I totally understand the necessity. It's a necessity for me, and not the power. And I can survive without. And when the power goes out, I can function. I have battery operated fan battery and that kind of stuff, and so I can survive. But I know what it's doing to other people.
But that's the issue there. It's so you pointed as that.
Yeah.
$600 million available now for WAPA in Croy.
Never.
You know, and we have up until the first Tuesday in November for you candidates for the 37 legislature to tell us what you're going to do. Because if not, by the time you're sworn in, Washington might take that money back.
And if you think about it, this is historical. We have never been in this kind of a position to do something about our major concern. That's kind of like when Christopher Columbus shows up on our shores, and we don't say anything about it. We just go along like nothing. You know, this is nothing out of the ordinary. You know, this has never happened. A major thing, a major possibility. They wanted to be in charge of making decisions, and they're not saying anything about what kind of decision they would make with this historical event.
Well, we're not going to allow it. That's the point. We're not going to allow it because between now, we said 90 days, it must be 80 some days now. But between now and the first Tuesday in November, we must hear from these candidates. We've got to hear from them.
And again, it might not, you know, you could even preface it that, okay, I am not saying but I have looked into it. This is what I've found. And this is my idea at this point in time about it. If somebody comes up with me bringing this up, people come to me with new ideas and stuff, it may change, you know, and which is what we would hope would happen with an elected official, that when they learn more and it seems like what their original thought was based on the new information, that there is a better decision.
Absolutely.
This is what we want from you.
Of course.
We want you to ultimately make the best decision with the information that you have available to you. So show us, but you coming up with something shows us that you have been paying attention, you've been listening to our concerns, you've been listening to other people's ideas about this, and that you have at least taken the time to come up with some idea about it, some response. But to hear us complaining, hear what's happening with the people and the suffering that they're going through, and you're going to stay silent, but you want me to vote for you?
Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
We should not, as a community, accept this kind of a treatment. We should not.
And we are at the top of the hour as we run out of time every time, but we are not going to allow for the candidates to run out of time. You know, exactly. That's the point, you know.
Exactly. So just out of self-respect, we should not allow this to happen.
Beloved, lick your cream, because Armstrong ice cream is just so good for your soul. And beloved, yes, we have a Caribbean ferry fisher. Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience and welcome.
Yeah, Mario.
Ah, there he is. Talk to me.
I would like to add something else to what I said before.
Sure.
Again, this is what I have been told. In some ways, you got to keep asking me why this, why that, why that. I don't work for the government. I don't know why some decisions are made or not made. But with the hue and cry for donkey years, that plant in Richmond should not be, it should have never been in the residential area. And night on a show, I don't have the date that is showing in my mind, but I have it taped. It was asked a question. It was a question that I posed, and I guess he wanted to expand on it by saying, well, yes, we will get the money for the plant at the South Shore to move into the industrial area, but only 30% of the plant generation infrastructure would be moved. That means 70% is going to stay there. And this is one of the things the feds are having a problem with. If people are crying, they want it moved. I gave you money to move it, and you said 70% going to stay. Then you're telling the feds go to hell, I'm going to do what I want with your money. You have to be careful of what it is we're doing and saying.
Well, that is how we want to confront the candidates between now and the first Tuesday in November.
Well, they better have answers.
There you go. There you go.
Because you can't just want to get in these positions of leadership. I know what happened, Maricas. I've been there. I mean, they would say, well, in my area, I don't want to get this together because I'm meddling in the affairs. I'm meddling in this, engineer, but they get it in this. No.
Well, Bibbs, we gotta let them know there's a sense of urgency because how long do you think the federal government is just going to let this $600 million just sit there?
Well, as I mentioned, I heard that it's no longer available. I hope that it's not true.
There you are. That is the urgency with which we are appealing to all these candidates for the 37th legislature.
And you're right. And people don't let them run from you and tell you all the time, well, me getting yet.
No. We have to be urgent about this. We need to know now.
Ahora mismo.
Ahora.
Right now. Yeah. Okay. I'll continue the lesson.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Beloved, too often I have to remind us that we are a population of descendants of enslaved Africans. Now, any number of people don't like to even hear those words, that we're Africans, much less descendants of Africans, and worse still, descendants of enslaved Africans. But yes, that's how we are defined. That's how we must know who we are and the kind of leadership we desperately need to regain our humanity. Because, beloved, as much as you don't want to hear this kind of talk, this is what we experienced through the generations. We were dehumanized to the point where we don't know where we come from specifically. Generally, we know, but don't want to hear it. We are the descendants of enslaved Africans. Specifically, we cannot tell you what community on the continent of Africa that we belong to. We don't know. And that is our part of this process of dehumanization. That a white person could just hear somebody's accent, learn their last name, and say, oh, you got an Irish last name. You got a Scottish last name. That's a German name. Beloved, we have allowed ourselves to be used, misused, and abused by our own people now. This is now mental enslavement. Good afternoon.
Yes, hi, good afternoon, Mario. How are you doing today?
Thank God, holy name, son. Welcome to you, man.
Okay, thank you, bro. I want me to turn up the
Go ahead, man.
Yes, something I've been watching, and it's regarding the airport development. Now, for a long time, I've been thinking that they have this agenda to shut down the Seacrow Airport. Now that the final draft for this redevelopment with Sky City, it's a proven fact to me that they indeed intend to shut us down by just making us totally too expensive. And the second part to that is that putting jet bridges on the airport is not automatically going to make our airport attract more flights. The recipe for attracting more flights would be attractions and the major infrastructure improvement, which has not been done on the island of St. Croix for umpteen years. We have the worst set of roads right now. I mean, driving it's almost like going to the dentist and putting the teeth. And we're not doing anything, because I could list about 5 different things, right, that we could do to help improve draw to the island, but the government would have to pitch in to do these things. We could look at like the Cycling Federation. We could have sanction races on there. We could have sanction golf events because we have golf courses here. We could have a sanctioned marathon, but that would be like during the Christmas season. We could go back to car racing. There's numerous other things, tennis events, a lot of different things, and of course, like the agriculture and the numerous other events that's going on throughout the year. But the infrastructure behind it, and the last thing before I forget would be like getting hotels built.
Now, that has probably been one of the biggest stumbling blocks for us. And the one advantage that we had, they getting ready to take it away by bringing in Southland gaming with these VLTs / video game, whatever they want to call it. Now, I understand we would like to get horse racing back, but I think that they purposely keeping us over the barrel to shove things down our throats to further cause a spiral and demise in this whole economic outlook of St. Croix. And if it's the intent of the Virgin Islands, which is labeled as to run a single island economy, then why don't they just separate from St. Croix and let us do the things that we need to do so we can move forward? You know? Yeah, you do.
I'm here. I'm listening to everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
God, it's really to me, I think going forward, we should recheck Sky City. We should just say, you know what, I want to go and spend $100 and some million. Then we make do with what we have. Even though just get the major things fixed, like the luggage belts have been broken forever and ever that they wouldn't fix. Let us have our own Port Authority agency over here, and let us grow our airport slowly and cost effective, and not with this ridiculous scheme to just give us 3 jet bridges, which was supposed to be 4 under the MAP administration, but they cut it down to 3. These are just some real blatant things that I'm watching, and the last thing I would add to it, and it's probably, as far as like hotel development, to me, if I had some say in the government, what I would have done is offer variance for all these shopping centers from the Lorraine Shopping Center East to allow them to put small, what do you call them, hotels or whatever in there, because in reality, the brick and mortar stores are pretty much dying out as Amazon and all these other things are slowly taking over. So if we want rooms, that's one way of getting it. And lastly, the whole thing ties in the WAPA, where I can't understand why we're still paying these ridiculous sums of money, even though we get 3 solar power plants generating X amount of kilowatts a day, supposedly saving us money, but they're refusing to pass the savings on because they owe X, Y, Z, and it's a lot, Mary. And like you said, moving up the power plant should be done. It should be done. There's no excuse that the power plant cannot be moved. None whatsoever. And that's just where I'm at.
Well,
And before
go ahead.
sorry about it. One last thing I want to add, and it all seems a bit helter-skelter, but they all tied in a sense, is when we're talking about the future aspirants to hold their foot to something, should any of them come on and you have the opportunity to talk to them, see if you could get them to come in to working on the plant, the wastewater plant, so we could get the stream for agriculture. So it would involve either doing where they have like either a wetland development, or the
water. You know, that is what we really need, especially in this drought that we're going through. You know, but that's pretty much my stuff.
Well, this is what we were concerned with previous callers, as we had Michael Henry here with us,
Right.
because we're very concerned that WAPA is integral to any progress that we make. We've got to have reliable power. We've got to have affordable power, reliable and affordable. Now,
Yes, definitely.
here we have the federal government, $600 million for WAPA in St. Croix.
Right.
Now, we are just weeks away from a general election, the first Tuesday in November. We are unable, even though just 3 days ago we had a primary election, we are unable to have any candidate tell us what they would do with the $600 million that is now available. Because by not having any plans for it, it could mean that by January, when it's time for the 37th legislature to be sworn in, the federal government can take it back because it says, hey, y'all don't have any plans to use this money. And that is the situation right here, right now. $600 million available, and not one candidate to offer not one single plan. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. And I heard what you were saying. They should be, I mean, initially, you know, the money was granted and we all talked. You know, the governor did mention it, but I think someone brought up the discussion of moving the power plant. And I think he was opposed to them, not 100% sure. Let me don't say that. But there doesn't seem to be a great big push for that power plant to be from the location to the south side where there was one previously being constructed until it was dismantled and sold to the Dominican Republic. You know, and that line, from my understanding, was almost completed.
Yes.
And it was just demolished. You know.
So we're going to miss another opportunity now? $600 million. All of these candidates and not a single plan. No one to offer any plan to use this $600 million. Whether it's to take the plant in Richmond and shut that down and have a whole new power plant built on the South Shore. But again, nothing at all. No plan whatsoever. And so the next thing that we could expect to happen is for the federal government to say, okay, so y'all can't use the $600 million, we have use for it. And they take it back.
Oh yeah, and they definitely will do that. You know, if like you said, we don't have some movement. You know,
well, I'm just saying, I mean, I heard the proposals that you made for the airport or all these different things, that is fine.
Yeah.
But the thing about this WAPA thing is this money is available right now.
And that is true, right now water is the element in the room.
Yes,
That is really what's stopping our progress.
yes.
Until we could address that, really we're not going to grow the way we should grow. We could do things, but the biggest obstacle is water. And that is not being addressed. And that 600 million don't go the way of the airport money that we had in the past that was all devoted to fix the airport in St. Thomas.
Yeah.
So people may hear me talking and think I'm not St. Thomas. I'm just pro St. Croix. And I'm just against the injustice and the hypocrisy that goes on.
And we appreciate you voicing it because we want, to listen, inform, and to enlighten our beloved audience so that we stop settling. We don't have to settle.
Yep.
But we're at the bottom of the hour and it's time for something that everybody appreciates, or crucial history question.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. All righty. Beloved, are you ready for the history question, the crucial history question for today? Well, beloved, lick your cream, because Amsterdam ice cream is so good for your soul. We are back. And as far as I can see, that's beautiful Aisha taking a spot, set the stage. And she is prepared to complement the correct answer with one full quart of your favorite flavor of Amsterdam ice cream. And we keep telling you, beloved, that is something you can't beat, not even with a black water stick. So let's do this. Beloved, been more than 60 years, 60, more than 60 years since we're having primary elections. We just had one Saturday. Well, beloved, we want you to go back to the first primary election. And we want for you to tell us the names of the 3 successful primary candidates. You heard me? We want you to tell us the names of the 3 successful primary candidates. So you tell us. What are those names, beloved? Nobody has card. And that is because, beloved, this primary election, even though, like I said, it's more than 60 years now, but our government is not known for informing and enlightening this population. We don't get educated about the things that, well, we need to know about. We've had to go to court. I think we got our first call here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is Farley, Ronnie Lugo, and Melvin Evans.
Let me tell you something. Melvin Evans was not involved in Virgin Islands politics until the late 1960s.
Wow.
So Farley, same way. Farley was not involved in Virgin Islands politics until the late 1960s. So we come again, beloved. We are looking for the winners of the first primary election in our Virgin Islands. And beloved, well, we think that you should know this, but that's the point that we are making, is that we take these things for granted. And we don't impress upon our government that we need to be informed and we need to be enlightened. And so that even though it's been more than 60 years, there are many people many right here in my beloved audience who don't really understand what a primary election is all about, you know. Who tell them? Who took the time to inform and enlighten our people as to what a primary election is all about? But there came a time when Senator Earl Attlee, that political genius, saw a way in which he could actually take the Democratic Party away from St. Croix and St. John and bring it to St. Thomas. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mario. How are you doing?
You go tell me how I'm doing. I want to get the names of the winners. The names of the winners of the first primary election in our Virgin Islands. The winner of the, matter of fact, let's be more specific. The winners of St. Croix. St. Croix winners.
Oh, St. Croix winners?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm having some problems with the radio. I'll have to call back.
All right.
Okay, having some problems. Okay.
Take your time. All right.
Okay, one question, Mario. Do you want to know the senators?
Well, again, I can't give away too much, you know. Maybe I might have to give some clues down the road. But you are supposed to know who is involved in a primary election.
Okay,
That's part of the point that I'm making here, is that our government refuses to inform and enlighten us about the important things that we should understand, including a primary election.
Okay.
So you think about it, and we'll be right here when you call back.
Okay, all right, that's
good. And there it is, beloved. We had to go to court to get Board Bryan's law implemented. And we still have not been successful in getting it implemented. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. I don't know if somebody won already.
Nobody has won. Nobody has won.
Alexander Farrelly
That's
won the primary election.
Alexander Farrelly won the primary election. Now, I don't want to upset you or hurt your feelings or anything like that, you know. But at the time of the first primary election, Alexander Farrelly was not even involved in politics in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying about our government informing us?
Okay, so
enlightening us? Pardon me, what?
When he won, Alexander Farrelly won, was that the second primary? Because my research says he won the primary Democratic election, and then there was a three-way in the general Cyril King and Melvin H. Evans.
Remember when I introduced this, I said to you that primary elections have been held in the Virgin Islands for more than 60 years. 60. All right. The things that you're just talking about, you know, maybe 40 years ago, maybe 50, but definitely not 60. Right? 1970 is when we had our first elected governor. Not so.
Right.
You refer to it now, okay? That would have been 56 years ago. 5, 6. So that could not have been the first primary election. Okay?
No? Okay.
And I'm just pointing out to you again, this is one of the reasons we went to court to get birth price laws implemented. Because here we are again. How is it that we just had a primary election 3 days ago on Saturday? And yet we know very little about primary elections because they don't tell us. They just use us, misuse us, and abuse us. That's what they do. And I think we need to win and come again.
Okay, so you say before 1970 there was a primary election. Before 1970.
I'm saying to you, I'm saying in plain English, we have had primary elections for more than 60 years. I did not tell you when the first one was because I'm not giving any hints other than to tell you we've been having primary elections for more than 60 years. All right? And I've just got to tell you now that the first election when we were able to elect our own governor was in 1970. That was 56 years ago. I believe 60 years is more than 56 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you are. So we then come again, my dear.
Okay.
All righty.
Do some more research.
Do that. Do that. We all need to do it.
Okay.
And beloved, again, this is not making fun of anybody, but it is revealing how our government, our politicians take advantage of us. Beloved, ask yourself, why did we all of a sudden have primary elections? Why? Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mario.
Welcome, man. Welcome, big man.
I will make a stop.
Why not, man? Try a thing.
Ario Diaz, Fritz Lawet, and that is.
That's your winners.
That's the name them are calling.
All right. Well, are you saying in response, win and come again?
All right.
All righty. Beloved, we are, I don't know what to say in this sense, but it is just shameful, embarrassing. We get a card. Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Me here the question.
You want to hear the question?
Yes, yes.
All right. We want you to tell us the names of the winners from St. Croix of the first primary election held here in the Virgin Islands.
First
primary election.
primary election.
Yes, the first one.
The winners.
Yes, St. Croix.
St. Croix.
Yeah.
Okay. First primary.
Yeah.
That's what 72. St. Croix.
hope you realize it, you know, how a major thing is. Just 3 days ago, we had a primary election,
Yeah.
and you just realize that how little they just teach us in school. You could be the best student, the honor student, but if they don't teach you about it, how you gonna know? And here we are talking about primary election, and I'm trying to point out to my beloved audience, you know, how our government, particularly our politicians, how they use us, misuse us, and abuse us to take advantage of us so that before the primary, St. Croix and St. John was strongly Democratic. St. Thomas was Martin Pestle Unity Party. After the primary, all of a sudden, Unity Party disappeared. And the Democratic Party is now controlled by St. Thomians. You say, yeah. All I'm showing you is that, again, you know, we were not informed, we were not enlightened about what a primary election is about, how it's used, and how it was used against us. And here we are, you know, I mean, we don't understand it. I mean, you can't answer a simple question.
I wonder who was Mr. Harvey, William Harvey was one. I think.
You know, wonder if you want to give an answer, give an answer.
I'll tell you one, William Harvey
Harvey and who?
Fitzgerald.
William Harvey and Fritz Cavett. That's your answer?
That's my answer.
And I say, we and come again. So, beloved, what to tell you, Bishop? What to tell you? It's just 3 days ago we had a primary election, you know. And as a result of that, now we have the nominees for the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. What a thing, eh? But beloved, we have very little understanding of what is a primary election. And I'm asking a straightforward question. Go back to the first primary election, the very first one. It was more than 60 years ago. And you tell me who were the St. Croix winners of that primary election? Tell me the names. Again, me ain't no special nobody, you know. If anything, I just read more than probably most of us. Most of us don't like to read. Don't like to read. I love to read. And that has helped me to, well, learn different things that I want to know about or to read about them. And that's one of the reasons to that politicians that stay away from Mario. And as you all very well know, how many Democrats just come on Mario program to talk with you? How many just come here for information and enlightenment? Good afternoon to you.
Yes, go there again, Mario. Let me try.
Try a thing.
I would say Jack James, Roy and Duz, and Randy Logo.
And I would say, wheel and come again.
Okay. A quick question, Mario.
Yeah.
Have you started to give hints tonight? Like when it's close to 4 o'clock, can you tell me how many names we need?
Again, in 2 minutes, you're going to start getting clues. In 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Alrighty.
Okay, bye.
And well, I never thought that you'd be so far off with something that, well, I think is important. We just had a primary election just 3 days ago, Saturday. And well, for most of the program here today, we've been talking about things about the primary election and how we want to use it to do this and that. And we want senators to that now won the nomination and they are Democratic nominees for the 37th legislature. We want them to tell us, well, what do they plan to do with the $600 million that the federal government has given us St. Croix for WAPA? Because we just went through a primary election and not a single one of them mentioned anything about the $600 million. And if they are successful and they become a senator in the 37th legislature, what would they do with this $600 million? Nada. Zilch. Nothing at all. Well, beloved, you've been waiting for it, so it is time to give you some clues. First of all, and it's a big one, the first primary election took place in 1964. 1964. So, beloved, that tells you that was, unless I got my mathematics and arithmetic wrong, 62 years ago. 62 years ago would have been the first primary election. The question we're asking is, who were the St. Croix winners? Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon again, Mario. Let me try a thing.
Yes, try a thing.
Yeah, let me say Patrick Williams and Juan Belado.
What do you call it? Patrick Williams and Juan Belado. Well, let me point out something for you. To the very best of my recollection, Patrick Williams was not a candidate for office in 1964.
Okay.
Wheel and come again.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm trying again. The winners, I think it was Patrick Williams and Jack James.
Wheel and come again. Beloved, I said the first primary election was 1964. And let me just say this to you. again, another hint. At the time, we had 4 at-large senators. 2 had to be residents of St. Croix and 2 residents of St. Thomas. Now then, I am going to tell you that the winners of the primary election included the at-large senators. Saturday, we didn't have at-large senators in the primary because there was nobody challenging, what's his name, Senator Volkes. Let's see. Good afternoon.
Okay, this one we're trying, son.
All right, try that thing.
Maduro,
Maduro is St. Thomas, you know. We talk about St. Croix.
Grace.
We like come again. Beloved, I'm saying, you know, the first primary was in 1964. At that time, we had 11 senators. 11. You know, and of the 11, of the 11, you know, 4 were at-large senators. 4 were at-large senators. And beloved, I don't know how much more hint you want to get than that because we run out of time. We need to hear we need to have a winner. And let me see what else hint I could give you. Let me see after this call. Let me see. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. One more time, Mario.
Good thing.
I would say Fritz Lawet.
Yeah.
Doc James.
All right.
David Hamilton Jackson.
Yeah.
That also right. And Santiago Garcia.
All right. I said you give it 4. 4 winners.
Yeah, that's so much.
We and come again.
All right, okay.
Beloved, I'm just gonna give it away now. This is basically giving it away. In 1964, the legislature was made up of 11 members. 4 at large and 7 district. The 4 at large, 2 had to be residents of St. Croix and 2 residents of St. Thomas. The district senators was a total of 5. What did I just say? Something around. No. It's 7. 7 district senators. 7 district senators. 3 St. Croix, 3 St. Thomas, and 1 St. John, for a total of 7 district senators. We got another card. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mario, I'm messing up with the radio, so I don't know if you get this answer already, but I would just say Fritz Lawet and Doc James.
And I would say wheel and come again.
All right, okay.
All right.
Okay.
I will tell you the 2 at large winners for St. Croix was Doc James and Ariel Diaz Morales. Doug James and Ariel Diaz. Those were the two at large. Now then, we had 3 district senators. 3 district senators. So name the 3 district senators to go with those 2 at large that I just give you. Help me out now. The 2 at large, Doug James and Ariel Diaz. And there are a total of 5 winners. 5 winners. Because really, St. Croix elected 5. 2 at large and 3 districts. I just gave you the 2 at large. Doug James and Ariel Diaz, who were the 3 district senators to win that first primary in 1964. Lord Harry the judge. Beloved, oh, the next caller gets to be the winner. Because we can't carry on no longer than this person. Beloved, Carl, and you are a winner. Carl, and you are a winner. All right, let's see. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, I am going to make you a winner.
The logo? Alfred Lockhart and John Maduro.
No. Those are not correct.
Okay.
But I am going to give you the winners. You ready for them?
Yes.
All right. The 2 at large, Doug James and Ariel Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 district, Rodney Lugo,
Mm-hmm.
Augustine Doward, and Fritz Lawitz.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, those are the 5. 2 at large, Doug James and Ariel Diaz. 3 district, Rodney Lugo, Augustine Doward, and Fritz Lawitz. All right. So now I need what is your full name?
You wouldn't believe it. Catherine Deland.
You changed up my voice on the mirror. You weren't as confident today.
No. Oh,
Okay. What is Rob raising the son?
yes, it is.
He said, I wouldn't believe. Well, I believe. One way or the other, Mr. When you got it in you, you got it in you. And yes, sir, now you know that, beloved, the first primary election in the Virgin Islands took place in 1964, Mr. Deland. 1964.
Okay.
All right. At that time, the legislature was made up of 11 members. 11, not 15, 11. And it was structured with 4 at large and 7 district senators. 2 of the at large had to be residents of St. Croix, 2 of St. Thomas. And as far as the 7 district senators, there you had, how are we gonna, 3 district senators for St. Croix, 3 district senators for St. Thomas, and 1 district senator for St. John, for a total of 7 district senators. 7 district senators and 4 at-large senators for a total of 11 senators. And so we say the winners in St. Croix was Doug James and Ariel Diaz at large. And district was Randy Lugo, Augustine Doward, and Fritz Lawrence. Those are the three and two. So those are the 5 primary winners for that first that first primary election in 1964. So I thank you, Mr. Deland, and we still consider you to be hey. I gotta call you a scholar, man. You know, you're always there for us. And once again, you are our winner.
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Thank you for participating.
Yeah.
All the best.
That's in my book.
All right. Good. All right. And beloved, let's take our last break and we come back for the last lap. Okay? So lick your cream, beloved, because after my cream is just so good for your soul. We're back, beloved, and this is the last lap. And so you want to get in your last lick, beloved. This is your opportunity. Wait a minute, where were you? I thought we had a caller, but we don't. We don't. We do have a caller. Do we? Yes? I think so. Good afternoon. Are you there?
Yeah, good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon. Yes, man. You know, you miss out. But again, I was able to make my point. Which is that the government of the Virgin Islands does actually, it does use us, misuse us and abuse us. Because as a population of descendants of enslaved Africans, we're supposed to get better education than anybody else. You can't just go with the average education.
Well, Mario,
talk to me.
When anyone of them come there, like that they're running for governor and thing, right?
Yeah.
Take that question and ask them and see the results.
But that's the whole point. You know, say, wait, you one of my beloved audience, you know they don't come here.
They don't come, man. Some of them don't get brave and come, they don't come, but you have to ask them that question.
I definitely will ask them other questions too.
Well, I have said already and that James, but they've been on the last place. But anyhow, let me ask you this, right?
Yeah.
I don't hear everybody talking about moving the moving the water plant to the South Shore,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But how do you think they're going to be able to pull that off, to accomplish that?
Well, that's an easy one. That's an easy question to answer. That's an easy question to answer. You already have $600 million the federal government give us for water here in St. Croix. That is more than enough to build a new plant. All right? So that all we're talking about is moving the plant out of a residential area.
Okay, so you're talking about moving the name of the plant because
No.
if you're going to say my point now, if you're going to move the plant, being on that substantial downtime to move the plant,
Well, again, I don't think that you're going to move the plant until everything is in place, you know. First, you got to build a new plant on the south side, you know. All the transmission lines and all of these things have to be in place before you make the final move. But you get the money, that's the main thing. And that's why we've been so urgent about it because, you know, you're playing around. Next thing will happen is the federal government will take the money back.
but then we're going to have to start over, especially in the grade of buy new equipment and everything, right?
Well, but we're talking about a brand new plant.
Okay, because I moved the plant, I'm thinking of when you got that generator.
No. We're talking about brand new plant. You understand? And again, it is for y'all to decide which is the most efficient. Right now, they're telling us that natural gas, you know, is the most reliable and the least expensive fuel that we could use. And we didn't go with this propane and all of these kind of things. No. The thing is that Justin, we need to use the money to give us the best that we can have. And the $600 million is more than enough.
Yeah, I understand that we got the money, but these people that we elect,
Yeah.
particularly the Democrat Party,
Yeah.
Mario, I speak like this with them, right?
Yeah.
They don't do no heavy lifting, so do nothing about it. I have to
Right.
Mario.
Right.
They don't do nothing big, no Australian effort to do nothing about it. They
Right.
could sign a paper and it's done. That's how they're going to do it. But
What?
so the logistics, all these kind of things, they not for them task to me.
I'm hearing you, but that is why we tell you this urgent, and we need for them before the election in November to tell us their plan. Why is that? Because Washington D.C. is absorbing this. I say, listen, man, it's months now we are giving this $600 million, you know, and you all don't even have a plan where you're going to use it, how you're going to use it. And now we get these candidates. So that is why it is urgent to tell them, listen, tell us how you would use the $600 million. And tell us no. Because the federal government could take back this money anytime you can say you're only using it.
You also the pull back money from us the other day.
Yes. When this could happen with the $600 million here, we just had a primary election. And not a single candidate had a single proposal as to what to do with the $600 million. Not a one of them.
So I want to see what they're going to do. And because I tired of hearing plans. I hear plans from the timers and little boys. Plans.
Right.
And those plans don't go into effect. So know what I mean?
I hear you. Well, we now are making this urgent because we don't want to lose this $600 million. We got too many problems with WAPA. And now we get the $600 million. That is why we bring in here and every Tuesday afternoon we bring in Michael Henry, to put pressure on these people, let them know, listen, what are you gonna do? You're just going to ignore it until the federal government take the money back. Come up with a plan, do something.
Right, an effective plan, what of really put into operation.
Thank you.
Because all the plans that Governor Brian got right now, you know what plan is, right? They're trying to find something when he leaves. That's what we gonna do.
Yeah, I see what you say. Yeah.
And that instead of starting back over, we start over so much more than putting him start over in September.
Celestino.
Yeah, but my son Mario, we get up a creek without a boy, eh?
I hear
When
you.
they come to certain things in these Virgin Islands.
I hear you.
So I hope things will work out for us now, because we gone so long without things, substantive things.
Well, that is why we try to put some pressure on it here. And we tell you, we want a plan before November election.
Right? So anyhow, let somebody else get it.
Good thing. Already.
Yeah.
Hmm. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mario,
Talk to me.
I didn't hear what you said after the last clue you said I was going to give the last call of the thing. My thinking was Roy and those and Brother Hodge.
No.
Okay.
No. Again, Brother Hodge lost in the election before this one, when that James and Patrick Williams came in and they sabotaged Brother Hodge about how he moved the capital to St. Thomas and all kind of lying thing to do here, so that Brother Hodge never win another election again after that.
I see. They will go out Mount Paris.
That's what they do.
But then, how come they say that they was the one that deal with Auntie and Sunday, the leadership to St. Thomas?
Well, but that's just it. We the St. Croix politicians going along with it. And we here like a bunch of mumu, we going along with the whole program, and they just use it as all.
I see. But let me say something quickly before you go, because I have folks in DC and other cities, major cities, have been listening. And they asked me to ask you, and they use the word happen. Happen, not meaning that you're asking the wrong question. But they want to know how come you're only talking about 600 million for the plant and St. Croix. But the entire thing, I think it's something like 200 billion the Virgin Islands got to COVID and Phuket Five.
Well, in terms of cash in hand, we have a lot of promises, but the money that is available right now is almost $1 billion. 600 million for St. Croix and 300 million for St. Thomas. That's $900 million, almost $1 billion. All right, that's why we are being, so pressingly urgent about this. And we want to get a plan before the November election, because the federal government, because they're easily taking the money back and say, hey, you ain't got no plan to use it.
And rightly so, you should be asking, all of us should be asking a question. But then the thing is, what are the officials, the governor, and them, what are they saying? What are they telling their bosses, the people? What are they saying?
Well, this is what we are saying here. We said that, hey, we just had a primary election Saturday. Not one candidate spoke to this. Not one. All right?
Well, that's because that's a hot potato.
Well, there you are.
The better, hot potatoes is the best thing to take up, because that's what the people keep hope alive.
Gotta keep hope alive, Mr. Thank you. Stay strong. Already.
Yes, I.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's like $969 million. 669% Bitcoin and around 3. So it's maybe even 297.
And beloved, this is our all around rich here, Mr. Michael Henry, and he is telling you, you know, the money that is available and why there's urgent that we get a plan from these candidates before the November election. Speak to us.
And the candidates can go public, even though an op-ed piece, so there's something in print. When I was in grad school, I had an research advisor, and he was very prolific, wrote a bunch of papers and stuff. And he was telling me that, you know, when you start out with some new area or something, you have an idea, even before you really totally flesh it out, you should put out a little publication about it. Basically, what he calls a tree pisser, claiming your territory. Letting people know this is your idea and this is what you're working on. And so, you know, people later on, if they're using your idea, it's already been noted that it's your idea. So they can do a little op-ed piece if they want, if they're concerned about getting credit, you know, and put lay out the general structure of what they think. And if anybody takes it up and runs with it, you have proof that you were the first person to put it out there in public.
Well, that's why you are all rich, because you got the answers to all of these questions that we need. So
they have no excuse not to give us some idea about what their ideas on this.
Absolutely.
And your last caller also asked the governor, nobody, WAPA, none of them have put out what they plan to do with this money. You know, it's been dead silence from everybody, and that is what's concerning. It's a lot of money, almost $1 billion, and then we see what has happened with housing. You know, we should not be sticking around to see if it happens again.
We lost that money, and we don't want to lose this money.
No, this is vital. You know, even most of, if you have a house and you have no electricity, you're basically camping out.
Right.
You know? So we need to be putting some pressure on. They apparently don't plan to tell us anything. And that's not acceptable.
Well said.
All right.
Thank you, Doc.
No problem.
All righty. Beloved, we're down to our last 2 minutes of information and enlightenment for this Tuesday. And I don't know how else to state it other than that, beloved, we just simply cannot allow for these hundreds of millions of dollars to go back to Washington, D.C., because our politicians fail to step up to the plate and come up with a plan to use that money now. And it is on us, beloved, and we are going to be doing everything we can to put the pressure on these candidates between now and the first Tuesday in November. That's election day, the first Tuesday in November. And beloved, we need for the candidates to tell us what are their plans for these millions of dollars. Are we talking specifically here for St. Croix? $600 million. We want to know from the candidates, the gubernatorial candidates, the delegated Congress candidates, and of course, the candidates for the 37th legislature. Beloved, what are you going to do with the $600 million that has been made available for WAPA in St. Croix? $600 million. What are you going to do? Because we just went through a primary election, and would you believe not a single candidate offered any plans whatsoever as to how to make use of the $600 million for WAPA. And with that, beloved, our time is up. Our information and enlightenment for this Tuesday is finished. We have no more time. And all we could say is, beloved, it is unacceptable to hear that from the candidates. How could you be a candidate for the legislature? How could you be a candidate and don't have any plans for $600 million that has been made available for WAPA in St. Croix? That's totally unacceptable, beloved. Totally. And anyhow, like I said, well, I don't know. Oh, well, beloved, I guess the boss is giving us extra time because our time is up and we're still on the air. So, what can I tell you? One thing for sure, inside out cultivation, which is what we are talking about here. And well, we'll try to talk a lot more about it next Tuesday, because, beloved, like we say, we just don't understand how candidates for office don't have any plans. But my boss has plans, and it's to take me off the air. So, beloved, maybe you say, lick your cream, because Absalom ice cream is just so very good for your soul. But, beloved, don't you ever let them convince you that there's a basket that is too big for us to fill up. And I say, that might be the case. But if we do it 1-1, we could fill up any basket just as long as we do it together.